face you're making is like the trying to signal cards in a rigged poker game.
I'm so glad you said that at the end of this. Like, this is the easiest card scheme that I've ever seen in a motion picture before. Like,
if I go like this, it means hearts. If I go like this, it means spades. If I go like this, it means diamonds. And if I go like this, it means clubs.
Hey, why is this guy's wife, who is clearly a femme fatale, just walking around in the background at this high-stakes poker game?
Oozing sensuality and flapping her arms around.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's antsy. She's got restless leg syndrome.
Restless both of her legs and also her hands syndrome.
We are drunk off our ass and just drinking brandy, and she is providing that for us. So, and we're already rich. I'm so glad you said that at the end. I'm like, really? Like, no one notices this? Angelina Jolie in the background giving Antonio Banderas signals about this card game. But why not? Because everyone falls for everything else in this movie.
Yep.
Why would they? And honestly, though, like, I guess to be fair to that old card con, they did figure it out.
Yeah,
the people they were trying to con. I'm surprised they decided to do this con at the end of the movie. Spoiler.
Well, it's foreigners at the end of the movie, so I have to figure they figured they'd be dumber.
Yeah, it was just... they don't know how to play cards at the end of... It's like when Booger was...
understand her American Sign Language.
When Booger was teaching Takashi how to play cards in Revenge of the Nerds. The fuck is a frush? So, anyway, we watched Original Sin.
We sure did.
This is a 2001 movie that I knew of this movie, but I never saw this when it came out, and not that many people did when it came out. It didn't make its money back at the box office. But so this is the movie that is with Angelina Jolie and Antonio Banderas. This is a Patreon requested review. Steven requested this over on Patreon, so thank you very much, Steven, for the donation, for the contribution. And anyway, well, I hope you like our review that we're about to give for this movie.
Hope you like the review we just gave. Okay, good night, everybody.
The biggest thing that I remember about this movie was the Ebert and Roper review of it, because most critics really didn't like this movie when it came out. I don't think audiences did either, because I remember this movie coming and going when it came out. And so Ebert and Roper reviewed it, but Ebert was one of the few critics who liked it.
Because it got a boner, I bet.
Well, that was Roper's theory. It's
my theory too, because this is basically an episode of the Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
It cut over to Roper after Ebert's thing, and Roper's like, you are just in love with Angelina Jolie. That's it. That is all your review is. And you know what, though? I kind of like this movie, too, to be perfectly honest.
Did you get a boner?
No, I didn't, but... You know, I grew up with Cinemax. I started getting boners off of this stuff in like 98.
My boners 6 or way higher.
So this movie is honestly kind of what I wanted out of Tulip Fever.
Yeah, Tulip Fever wished it was this sexy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and when we were watching this movie, I'm like, okay, I see why this didn't get very good reviews. Like, it is total trash. It's total garbage. It is, I don't know what this book is like. Maybe it's it's been adapted a couple times. It was adapted into a 60s French movie. Like, maybe the book is, like, totally fine. But this movie is a Harlequin romance novel.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mentioned to Letty that I was watching it, and she's like, oh, yeah, you can see Antonio Banderas' butthole in that movie. And I'm like,
and we did.
Surely this is hyperbolic. And we saw, he's, like, throwing dick. And so, like, I missed the butthole in much the same way as, like, when I'm driving down the street, I tend to miss the deer by the side of the road when everyone else tends to see them.
Yeah.
But, like, it does not surprise me that there was a flash of butthole, because there was like, he was like, just the angles, just like, ah.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. So I read some backstory about this scene. All right, so this, I guess before I get into that, so I can tease that, the plot of this movie, it's like late...
There's no plot to this movie.
There's actually a lot of plot in this movie.
There's eroticism and murder.
And it's all wildly predictable. This whole movie is. Every single twist that they throw in there, I'm like, this guy's in on it. She's not who she says he is.
He's the devil
this
from
guy,
that one part.
Yeah. So I'm like, I know where everything is going because I am a million times smarter than every character in this movie.
Also because I've read fucking romance novels before.
But I was at least like kind of enjoying it in like it's A-list celebrities getting together to make a telenovela, and I sort of liked that aspect of it. And cause it's Antonio Banderas gets a mail-order bride. Already, you're losing me in the realistic department. So Antonio
he specifically orders an ugly one because he doesn't want to get all caught up. He's just like, give me a woman, I'm gonna have some babies off of her, and she's gonna be like a sweetheart, just gonna wander around the house. Angelina fucking Jolie shows up. He's like, but what?
This is a happy surprise.
Like, I sent you an ugly picture because I didn't want you to marry me just on my looks. Even though he was just marrying her on her looks, but just ugly looks, not Angelina fucking Jolie.
Well,
looks.
I guess I'll settle on Angelina Jolie then. Fine.
And he's like, I lied and told you I was poor. Turns out I'm filthy fucking rich.
This is the opposite of catfishing I've ever seen in my life. This has never happened in the history of any kind of dating site.
It's like backwards the gift of the Magi.
It's backwards Nobody's Fool that Dave and I went to go see last weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that movie's about... You never got the trailer for that movie?
Nope.
It was about catfishing.
I'm getting it confused with Kissing a Fool in my head.
Oh.
At least I acknowledge it before saying it.
Kissing a Fool. Oh my god. Both of these movies are better than Kissing a Fool. Jesus Christ. That fucking movie. So, you know right away that she's a con artist from this movie. So,
yeah, she murdered that lady, probably.
Yeah, and that's... Whatever you think is gonna happen in this movie, happens. But...
How about she didn't murder that lady? She just told the guy she knows to murder that lady instead. He's like, oh, that's much better. That's my kissing noise.
The movie is very sexy in its predictability.
I want to explain my kissing noises real quick, because no one fucking kisses normal in this movie. They're either like... They're like open mouth and like the tip of their tongue is kind of like and there's one part where like Thomas Jane like straight up spits in her mouth and she's like, yay, do that some more.
This was after a sex scene with her and Thomas Jane where he's carving into her back and sucking blood out of her back.
He carved her back, sucked some blood. Pretty sure that was butt sex unless they got their angles completely wrong. But for the noises she was making, I think it was supposed to be butt sex.
Yeah, they start making out with just blood all over their face.
She's just like up over the shoulder, like, and it's just like tips of the tongue is all like.
To describe this sex scene, you don't even have to say that this movie stars Angelina Jolie. So, like, all right, that sex scene between her and Antonio Banderas. I was doing some reading about this while we were watching the movie, and Angelina Jolie insisted on being entirely naked in the whole thing, and so then Antonio Banderas was too. Both of them were, which meant that there was a lot of unusable footage in the scene
because it's just like
because it's just like hanging dong and vagina throughout the whole thing. So like that's why in the scene it's constantly having to like cut away to other.
It's like it looked like a music video.
Yeah, it's right. This whole movie kind of does, but like that in particular, it's sort of like opposite of how they had to cut around the sex scene from The Room, which is done by someone who I don't think knows what sex is, whereas this one being done by people who maybe a little too much know what it is, and they had to edit around it to keep it from being a porn.
It kind of reminded me of, and I mentioned this earlier, is this movie, like, it reminded me of Exit to Eden. Yeah. It was like, just like, because the sex scene was just so sudden, and we focused on it for just a little bit too long, which made it stop being sexy and start being like, well, I mean, they're actually fucking, probably.
There was a big rumor about that. Like, it was like, wait a minute, is this like unsimulated sex? There was a rumor about it, which there kind of is for every movie like this when a movie like this comes out. But like, so Antonio Banderas was still with Melanie Griffith at the time, and one of the bits of trivia on this movie was like, at first Melanie Griffith was really nervous until halfway into production is when Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton like elope together. So after they eloped like halfway into production, I guess then she was like, oh well, I guess it's fine.
Those two kids are definitely gonna make it. So.
I know, right? Didn't you see Pushing Tin? This was like the second movie in 2001 that had to do with a mail-order bride. When I saw it was like 2001, I was like, wait a minute, isn't that when Birthday Girl came out? You remember that movie?
Birthday Girl?
That's the one with, Nicole Kidman, where she's like, I don't know, she's like German or Russian or something in it, and Ben Chaplin, I think that's who it was in the movie, like orders her as a mail order bride, but there's like Russian gangsters after the both of them.
Is that one also done like it's supposed to be romantic?
That one's more of a comedy, like a dark, like a British crime comedy kinda. I saw it like 17 years ago when it came out. I kind of remember it being sort of entertaining, but I don't know what I would think of it now. But both this and that are both kind of wildly different movies. The other one's modern times. But
that was the thing that I mostly disliked about this movie is that it seemed to be kind of trying to portray Angelina Jolie as like you said, a femme fatale sort of character.
She is in the movie.
But she's just being like buffeted from abusive relationship to abusive relationship and trying to make the best of it and ends up on fucking death row. It's like this poor woman.
You know what?
She's doing her best, goddammit.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I actually kind of agree with you about this because, like, I mean, she is a femme fatale in this movie. She's a con artist. Yeah. She is like kind of getting money from all of these people, but at the same time, she's the most likable one in the movie because she's the only one in the movie who's smart. She's the only one in the movie who's not a colossal dumbass. And I realize that this being the kind of movie that it is, especially for the kind of character she's playing, you kind of need the other characters
to be dumbasses, otherwise they're gonna cut on what they're doing.
You need them to be thinking with their dick through the whole thing. And considering the last movie I saw like this with a character like this was fucking London Fields, this was so much better than that. Holy shit! And this movie is kind of a mess because I had fun with this movie. I was actually entertained quite a bit by it. This is a horribly edited movie.
Yeah, there were scenes like people were talking, all of a sudden just like cut, and it's just like a cut, and like in the same shot. And I'm not a filmmaker, but I know you're not supposed to do that,
right? Like it's so scenes will just suddenly go in slow motion, even when it doesn't match the ADR work going on. Scenes will randomly be in fast motion. They'll just be random cuts throughout the whole thing, random cutaways. I was sitting there watching it thinking like, well, maybe their thinking was if they edit the whole movie like this, you won't think
make it less noticeable in the sex
scenes. In the sex scenes it'll be totally less noticeable. But like everyone is like, honestly, I thought they were kind of selling their parts in this movie. I mean, Angelina Jolie can play a part like this in her sleep. And
well, she's basically just playing this character as, like, either, like, okay, so 50% of the movie, she was just, like, stoned with lust. Because she makes that Angelina Jolie face where, like, her eyes, like, oh my god, I'm so sexy, it's making me sleepy.
The movie ends with her literally looking directly into the camera and doing eyebrow raise.
And then, like, this guy.
I'm like, that is pretty sexy.
And then the rest of the movie just, like, acting like the smartest woman in the fucking room.
Yeah, which she was.
Yeah. And Thomas Jane's playing a nut bar.
Thomas Jane's great in this, because Thomas Jane, with that hair they give him.
He's like a baby.
That mustache they have him in, too. He looks like someone who's just dying to show you a card trick.
Yeah, he looks like he wandered in from a cowboy movie.
Yeah, or kinda. He looked exactly like Neil Patrick Harris and what's that shitty Seth MacFarlane Western, Million Ways to Die in the West? Like, he's got this big curly mustache and that, like, bowler hat that he's wearing in this movie.
He's got, like, the little Doc Holliday sunglasses.
Yeah. So he's... Everyone seems like they're having fun playing these trash-tastic parts. And, he shows up in this. It was like, holy shit, wow, this was 17 years ago. He looks really young in this movie.
Everyone's eyeballs are huge because they just got little baby faces.
Yeah, and I did like the chemistry between all the actors.
Yeah.
I really did.
I spent most of the movie being like, this was like a proper porno. Then Thomas Jane and Antonio Banderas would have a sex scene somewhere.
Well, they almost
do. And they made out. I was like, literally, like, go.
Do I fucking taste like her perfume? I'm like,
God forbid we fucking kiss normal this one fucking time.
Yeah, so I'm watching the movie when it's stuff like that, and like all this crazy shit going on with it. It ends with this poisoning where
he like poisons himself to prove his love
for her,
and that's a novel thing to do.
It is because of that. I was like, all right, like, I understand why this movie got bad reviews, but the movie is kind of doing its job. Like,
it knows where we need to go. It had a bunch of plot holes, which I imagine was probably just stuff that they cut out for time.
Probably.
Like, the last you see him, he's, like, dying in the streets, and then she's on death row being like, he's alive, but I can't get to him, and it's like, where is he?
Maybe that last scene was in heaven. It kind of looked like
everyone was wearing fucking white.
Yeah, and how did she talk the monk into doing? At first, I thought like she was gonna kill him, like, cause all right, the whole movie's being told from her on death row with his neck snapping machine.
Which I did not enjoy.
Her on death row.
I didn't enjoy the. I can't remember what it's called, where they keep going back and forth in time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I feel like this was. I would have enjoyed the movie more if I didn't spend the whole thing knowing that she was going to end up on death row.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with you there, because that's a key reason why. I mean, I've seen that kind of thing done well before, certainly, but whenever I don't, it's for that reason. Where I'm like, okay, well, I know it's going to lead here eventually, and I'm pretty sure I know why. And in this case, it was like everything else. Is like, this is, okay, I know how she's going to escape. I know where she's going to escape to. I know why she's on death row. But I was still just sort of along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, the actors were really solid in this movie. Like, I mean, they were. Like, I mean, we mentioned Angelina Jolie could play a part like this in her sleep and still do it well, and she is really good in this. Same with Antonio Banderas, like, in this sort of telenovela type movie. Of course he's really good in it.
Yeah, he's Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, he's Antonio Banderas in an erotic thriller that's a fucking period movie that's in like, Cuba, where he's, what kind of farmer is he? Or
he owns a coffee company.
Yeah, and so I'm like, yeah, of course he's great in this movie. Like, okay, yeah, same with, you give Antonio Banderas like a guitar case full of guns, of course he's gonna be awesome in it. Way better than because we were saying like this is the more interesting story of his character's grandfather from fucking life itself.
That was olive oil. That was España.
Yeah.
No, was that Spain? Maybe it wasn't.
Man, if that's the case, you remember way more about that than I do.
I remember
All I remember is he had a field of some sort.
It was a weird place to have an olive grove, because he was talking about how him and his mother used to fucking shotgun olive oil because it was so delicious from her home country of... Well,
that's because, as the director of that movie said, we have hearts of stone and can't understand olive oil fields. I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
But
because we're those people that use the nets, so we bruise the olives because we don't give a shit.
I have a feel like, I mean, you know, we watch this here at home, but like, I have a feeling like, let's say like this same exact movie came out now and you and I went to go see it in theaters, because it would be me and you seeing this in theaters. We would probably have a ball watching this fucking thing.
Yeah,
like,
it would be much different if it came out now. Because one of the main things I was noticing when we were watching this is how you forget how much different 2001 is from now. It was like 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was like 2 years ago.
Same.
But then I watched this, it's like, she's just a tiny baby, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, I'm looking at this like, oh shit, she's like 26 years old in this movie. Yeah. I am, yeah, I'm the same exact way, because like, I mean, I was in high school in the late 90s, so like, I think that too. I'm like, wow, yeah, okay, this movie's old enough to drive a car. Holy shit, what the fuck?
They have he's got a stupid line at the end, sort of, you know, when you find love, you can't walk away from it. And I'm like, what is he doing? And then the end credit song comes on, and it's like, you can't walk away from love. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's right. On the half shell, it's a hero's for. In this day and age, you could ask for more. Crime waves high with muggings mysterious. Both police and detectives are furious, because I cannot find the course.
Nothing will ever top 1989's On Our Own by Bobby Brown for Ghostbusters 2. Found out about Vigo, the master evil. Trying to battle my boys? That's not legal.
Priceless. So for like with this period in history when we just like completely forget the plot of the movie when we get to the end credits, so they had to like run us through it again real quick.
Yeah, man. Like, I wish Tulip Fever did that. Like a disco a disco theme song. It's just Night Fever, but with Tulip placed in there. You know what? I actually had a pretty good time watching this movie, to be perfectly honest.
I was playing with my phone a couple times when it was like just him being bamboozled for the third time.
Yeah.
But past that, it was sexier than Tulip Fever.
Oh God, yeah.
You get to see Antonio Banderas' butthole if you're keeping a weather eye out.
Mm-hmm.
Angelina Jolie's lips are like half of her face.
Yeah.
This is during a period where like whoever was doing her makeup was emphasizing how big her lips was, which I think was a misstep because they're already huge. And so like if you overly bring your eye to them, it starts looking a little bit grotesque. And I think they were towing that line in a couple of scenes.
I'm really glad you said that, because when I was watching this movie, I realized that it's actually been a few years since I've seen her in anything. God, it might have been that By the Sea or whatever it was called that Ryan and I went to go see.
The Brad Pitt?
Yeah, the Brad Pitt one. And before that, I think, was Maleficent. So it's actually been a few years since I've seen her in anything. So watching this, I'm looking and going like, were her lips really? I realize she's got big lips, but I'm like, this
regular, like she's got big lips. She's Angelina Jolie. She's known for her lips and that leg that one time. But I don't like commenting on like actors or actresses if they've got a weird thing about their face.
Sure.
Except for Elijah Wood, because fuck that guy for some reason. But when they do their makeup in such a way that it's not doing that particular facial piece any favors, it's gonna make me uncomfortable.
I was wondering if there was something going on with the makeup in this movie.
They were doing her lipstick weirdly shiny, and so like she's got like her lips got that dent right here, and then on the top it kind of comes up and then comes down again. Yeah. Because it's it's just so fucking full, right? And so they were like when they made her lipstick too shiny, it was emphasizing that kind of like double pout in the top and making her almost look fish-faced. Yeah. And it wasn't doing her any favors.
But I still understood why people were doing very stupid things with her.
Yeah! the trick where it's like, I think that's Kylie Jenner, though, who's like nouveau Angelina Jolie. Although I think she's got lip injections. She took them out, maybe? At any rate, people can't afford lip injections in this day and age, so they're just like putting like a shot glass in their mouth and sucking all the air out.
Gosh.
So like the suction, right, would put your lips out. Except that it also forms this like shot glass shaped ring, hickey ring around your mouth.
Fall asleep with that duct tape around my face.
What you do is you cover that with some concealer.
Perfect.
Now I'm beautiful.
I'm beautiful now. Get away from me, you monster. Not
Elijah Wood, Tobey Maguire. Remember that
guy? Oh yeah, another actor I haven't seen in anything in quite a while.
I'm sure he's fine. He's got a weird face, and for some reason I fixate on it every time I see him in something.
It's like Brian with
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, and fuck, what's his name? From the Divergent movies. The only person we like in those movies.
Oh, Miles or whatever.
Yeah, Miles Teller. Yeah, same with Miles Teller.
His face is fine.
Not if you ask Brian. Brian will say like, his lips are too close together.
If you mush them, I guess.
He's like, I don't like how close it sticks together when he opens. It looks like in a cartoon whenever a character drinks lye. Like, what? Okay.
What cartoons is he watching?
Oh, I remember that. Like, when, the Birds Anonymous, when Sylvester the cat was going to eat Tweety Bird, but then the other cat put lye in his mouth, and it made his mouth too small.
Didn't he die?
Well... That is the last question you want to ask in a Looney Tunes cartoon.
But did he die, though?
No. It just made his lips small, and he was sucking for Tweety Bird with a straw, and that didn't work. Well,
obviously.
As my final thought on this is, it was very sinful, as the title suggests.
I mean, it was fine. Sinful. If you're interested in seeing Angelina Jolie and Antonio Banderas have fake sex so convincingly that you think like his dick must have slipped inside just like on accident a couple times, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, like this is and if you miss when there's like a trash sex thriller like this could at least be entertaining and decently acted, to be perfectly honest. If you miss that after fucking the 50 Shades movies, which you would think would be funny to sit through but really kind of aren't, no, this is what you're looking for right here. Yeah, it's a solid. Rent it, sure, why not?
If you can hear what they're talking about, I'm sure there's some funny parts because the dialogue is just so heavy-handed. I couldn't really hear him so great. First of all, because this guy was eating like the rustliest bag of pistachios.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Dude, I was not invested.
If it makes you feel better, I got pistachio finger right now. Or
no, it does make me feel better. See, God was angry with you, and that's why that happened.
Yeah, I always get, but they're so good. But I always get pistachio finger, or it's sore up there for a few days.
You need like some sort of like nutcracker.
I do, yeah.
Just go over the bag of pistachios and just like
just a cracker.
One of those guys.
Yeah, and I'll buy one of the maybe one of the toys for the new Nutcracker movie that's out. Those should be on sale soon.
Go over to Hot Topic.
All right, well, thanks again, Steven, for the contribution. You can contribute over at patreon.com/thecinemasnob, and if you're one of the top tier ones to request a movie for us to review, you do that and you just shoot us a private message on there. So I'll see you guys later.
Bye.